What is crack-lackin', fellow thermonuclear AFers? I am Dan Favale coming at you with a little mini segment, just some bonus content during this off season to tackle something topical. I will have a full mailbag out for you on Wednesday, I think. I got my wires crossed with guests, so I'll be doing another mailbag, and then we'll have a guest on to close out the week. Please remember to subscribe to us if you've not done so already. YouTube, hit that sub button, like, comment, help the algorithm love us back, turn on post notifications. If you've not subscribed on Apple or Spotify, please do that as well. Leave ratings and reviews on both, especially the reviews and the ratings on Apple. Help us climb up the charts. Follow us on the socials at HardwoodKnocks on Twitter and TikTok, at Hardwood_Knocks on IG, and join our Discord. The link to that is in the podcast and YouTube description. Get in there. And finally, purchase our merch. We have the store. The link to that is in the podcast and YouTube description as well. That is the best extra way to support the show, in addition to, again, handing out those word of mouth recommendations. We appreciate every single one of you. Let's dig in to the latest that's occupying the NBA sphere during the dog days of summer, or while we're being held hostage by James Harden, Damian Lillard at this point. ESPN Tim's Bontemps made some headlines when he said that he doesn't think Donovan Mitchell will ever sign an extension with the Cleveland Cavaliers and that they should trade him now. I actually want to just play this clip very quickly, so let's cue it up here.
But this is kind of a make or break year for the Cavs. Do you think he signs an extension right now?
I think there's no chance he signs. I don't think there's any chance he signs an extension there ever. And if it was up to me, I would trade Donovan Mitchell today, because I don't think the Cavs are getting as far as they hope to next year. And I don't think he's going to extend. And I think they'll get a lot more for him with 2 summers left than they will with 1 summer left.
On the surface, I want to make it clear, it's a reasonable stance to assume that Donovan Mitchell will never sign an extension with the Cavs. And I want to make clear, so he'll be extension eligible, I think, this November. That's when he signed his last contract. So it'll be the 3-year anniversary, since it was a 5-year deal, in case anyone cares about that minutia. So in November, I believe he will be eligible for an extension. But given his age and the number of years left on his contract, so you can only tack on an additional 2 years, I think, at that point. If he was going to sign an extension, he's going to wait to have the maximum amount of years, because he can get to off the 140% raise. Like, yeah, that'll bring him to his max money. That's not an issue. So him not signing an extension, and he won't this year, I want to make that clear, it's not a big deal. And like, even if it's, you get to next year and he still won't sign an extension, I guess maybe you get a little, squirrelish about that, and you want to know if anything's going on. If he hasn't given you any indication that he's made up his mind, though, you gave up at the time, with when you include Akbaji, it was 4 first-round picks, 2 swaps, Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen. That now looks like the equivalent of, like, because of how good Lauri Markkanen played, and just like the Colin Sexton deal is pretty good, and even Akbaji is really good, came on during the second half of last year. That looks like he gave up, I don't know, at least the equivalent of like 8 first-round picks or something for him. You don't just cut the cord on that after 1 season, to me. I understand the people who are not in Cleveland, who are like myself, let's say, so far removed from this situation, they want to look at it from the cold, callous perspective and say, yeah, I would move Donovan Mitchell and capitalize on his value now. Here's my thing. We can't just assume these guys won't sign extensions with their current team. Yes, Kawhi left Toronto, but Paul George stayed in Oklahoma City for the extra year. And had they maybe things ended differently for them, perhaps he doesn't, ask for out to join Kawhi as quickly, but he still signed that second deal, which was critical to, or signed another deal with OKC, which was critical to them capitalizing on his departure. We can't advocate for these, let's just say, non-flagship, non-glamour market franchises to treat their core as if they don't have a chance of retaining it just after they made this massive swing to do something that is, relative to the Cavs being the Cavs, out of character, knowing that Donovan Mitchell wanted to end up in New York. That was a risk. That was an out of character move. I want teams to look at that risk reward profile and say, you know what, we're going to do it anyway. I want a team to come out of left field and trade for Damian Lillard or to trade for James Harden. And I want these teams in every single market, I don't care where they are, to believe that they have a chance to not just acquire these players, not just to win with them, but to also win and keep them. And the best way to sell Donovan Mitchell on a long-term future in Cleveland is to win with Donovan Mitchell. And I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility this season when you're looking at the structure of the Eastern Conference. Milwaukee, right there. We haven't talked about them enough. I believe I'll be having something up on them later this week. They had a really good offseason. They're going to be super dangerous if they're healthy. Boston, very implosive by getting rid of Marcus Smart, having Kristaps Porzingis. They feel less versatile on defense. They've lost some playmaking. They're going to be right there. And then after that, it's wide open. I mean, you're not going to guarantee the Knicks are going to be better than the Cavs this year. Could they be? Sure. You're not going to guarantee it. The Heat, if they get Dame, maybe. If they don't, no, they're going to be right in that just cluster of teams where it's okay, sort of what if here. The Sixers, who the fuck knows what's going on with the Sixers? Is James Harden going to be there? Is Joel Embiid going to be there? What are they going to look like? If James Harden's there, is that worse for the team? How is he going to act once he reports? The Cavs could be better than them. If you told me the Cavs were number 2 in the East at the end of the regular season next year, this is my surprise face. I don't have one. I'm not going to predict it, but it would not shock me at all. I mean, maybe I will predict it. We need to see when we get to predictions, once this James Harden and Damian Lillard stuff settles, the degree to which I trust Boston is very little. Let's just say that. Or at least I'm morbidly cautious, curiously cautious. How do we want to phrase it? And so, yes, it's not just about the regular season. Have they done enough to improve their postseason stock with the additions of Max Strus and George Niang? I don't know. I think Strus is a better defender than credited. I think people look at his 3-point percentage, 35% last year, and kind of the way he shot during the playoffs. They get a little iffy. He is functional shooting. Some quick off the dribble stuff, can fly around in motion. He can play in the playoffs. Yes, you would have ideally have wanted someone who defends like Isaac Okoro and shoots like Max Strus. That move wasn't out there. And look, depending on what type of season Isaac Okoro has, and if they don't, I'm assuming they won't sign him to an extension, like that's an asset that you can attach on top of other salary. Can you just go out and get someone else? So like, no, they're not going to be in a position to trade a first round pick, but they have that Karis LeVert deal, very digestible. The Ricky Rubio deal, very digestible. They go out and get someone like a Reggie Bullock if they needed to. And that's someone who elevates their team even further. And we're just going to, I want to make this clear for Cavs fan listening. I have zero concerns about the Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland backcourt. I can't get there. I think Darius Garland's going to do a better job of even finding his scoring identity within this offense next year. That would be my prediction. Him and Donovan Mitchell will have had more time together. The front court with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, I have some concerns. Those two should be rebounding better together. I don't know if Niang can come in and buoy the, let's say, Mobley without Allen lineups and make those into this rebounding force. That is something to absolutely be concerned about, as is still the half-court spacing with those two on the floor. We also cannot just fail to cake in another year of Evan Mobley's development. That guy, for his position, is already probably like an A- passer, maybe an A passer. The stuff he is able to do defensively. I had someone in our mentions who, even if they're listening, I don't know why they listen to this podcast because they seem to hate me. They called me a careerist whose takes have no value, and I follow the beat of everyone else's drum. I picked Evan Mobley for Defensive Player of the Year. That is just not going to lock him in for that again this year, but that is the level he's already at on defense. Or we're just going to think he's not going to do some more things a little bit off the dribble, become more efficient on offense. Does he develop a standstill mid-range jumper? Do we see him take a little bit more threes this year? I probably wouldn't predict it. But this is someone who is going into year 3, was already in the Defensive Player of the Year discussion, and has been good enough on offense to date, but has shown flashes of someone who could be so much more. Like looking at someone who could put the ball on the floor, not even just we need to run stuff through him at the elbows and slow things down. Grab and go type shit. Even whether it's going to be off a rebound or if you're going to go in the half court and have him really just try to orchestrate things from the top. Like he has that, at least when you look at him, maybe he's not doing it so efficiently right now or in higher volume. He has the ability, if you maybe want to stagger Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland even more this year, or sit both of them at the same time and have Karis LeVert and Evan Mobley run some second units, Evan Mobley is going to give you that really ultra high, limitless ceiling, more so than a Jared Allen, a Donovan Mitchell, or Darius Garland. And look, if you really wanted to, you could move Jared Allen. That's a deal other teams would want. Could you do a big for wing trade? That whole OG Anunoby for Jared Allen stuff is kind of by the wayside now that they have Jakob Poeltl for way too much money, in my opinion. There are other moves this roster can make aside from deciding, if we don't win the title this year, Donovan Mitchell's out. But let's just say, let's assume worst case scenario. Again, I want to be of the belief, and I'm going to continue to be until Donovan Mitchell says otherwise, that he could resign in Cleveland. And I firmly believe that if they win at a high level, if they sniff the conference finals, which I fully believe that they are capable of doing, even if I don't know that I'll predict it this season, I'm going to believe that they have a chance of keeping him. But let's just say I've crapped all over the Blazers for not making the Damian Lillard trade decision on their own terms. We just saw the value of doing it in Utah, where your stars didn't request a trade. And whether Rudy Gobert had the cachet to do so or not, whatever, Donovan Mitchell absolutely did. They moved those guys ahead of any trade request issues. And they were able to capitalize on it in just to an unfathomable degree. I don't think they reset the superstar market, but they, right situation, right time, found the right teams. These guys also had the right amount of years left on their deal. It worked out. Right now, if Donovan Mitchell, yes, it could be you keep him this year. He requests a trade next summer, technically 1 year out from free agency. That's a problem. Are you going to get, you have to ask yourself if you're Cleveland. Again, we're just assuming the worst case scenario, not predicting it. We're just assuming it here for a minute. Are you going to get that much more for Donovan Mitchell now with 2 years, guaranteed years left on his deal than 1? Honestly, the answer to me would be no. Yeah, if you're looking to just send him to somewhere he doesn't want to go, looking at what you did, but like there are going to be other teams than the Knicks on his list. Miami might be in there depending on what assets they have left for Dame. There'll be other teams. If you need to move him, I would say that maybe you cost yourself a late first round pick by playing out this season. That would just be my gut. I don't know what team right now. Yeah, you're gonna let's use the Knicks as an example anyway. If you decide to shop him again, Donovan Mitchell's probably going to come out at this point and say, okay, well, now I'm going to be moved twice. I'm really going to get my input here. The Jazz kind of knew I wanted to go to the Knicks last time. I'm really going to elevate that to, DEFCON 1 that I only want to play for New York. They will give you the moon. They will make, and I like the Knicks, the Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell backcourt, whatever you think about it. They were in on Donovan Mitchell after the Jalen Brunson signing. They will do it again. I don't know how much you get. It's probably not the equivalent of like 7 or 8 first-round picks that you gave up when you factor in Larry Marketing, but you're getting a bunch of firsts. And if you want Quentin Grimes, you're probably getting him. You want RJ Barrett, you're probably getting him. So I'm just not too worried about that. And again, and if it's going to cost you a first-round pick, whether it's going to be the Mavs using that as an example that New York has, or a Knicks own first-round pick, I want to play out this season. That was the whole point of making that trade. You can't just say, oh, we didn't win in 1 year, and we didn't trade for another star this year to make ourselves the title favorite. So it's kind of a net failure and we need to take this loss already. No, that's not why you make this trade. You understood the risk. Give it more than a year, especially if he has not indicated to you that he is not going to stay. And again, the goal for any team should be to move on if they sense it's headed that direction before a player shrinks his market. The Cavs just aren't there yet, as far as we know. And to say that after a year, again, Tim Bontemps, I have a lot of respect for the job he does covering the league. I think it's a reasonable assumption to say, no, Donovan Mitchell's going to find a way to get to the Knicks, or as of right now, he's not going to sign an extension. I think that's fair, but this idea that the Cavs should trade him, it sort of presupposes that, one, you're going to get enough back from a team that's not the Knicks, let's say, to go ahead and just do this anyway, and that there's just no chance in hell of the Cavs winning and or keeping Donovan Mitchell. And I think that's really unfair to the group that is in Cleveland right now. They are still young. Everyone who's the main part of their core has the opportunity to get better. I think you can argue that Donovan Mitchell is the closest to a finished product that they have. I might actually argue it's Jared Allen, if we're going to be really honest. But we just saw Donovan Mitchell kind of ratchet it up defensively this past year for Cleveland. And so knowing that he's still in the improvement, but knowing that at least 2, let's move the needle down further. Knowing at least 2 of your core guys and Darius Garland and Evan Mobley have the ability to improve, bet on yourself. You did it last summer. Continue to do it now. We know they're not going to trade him, at least unless he sort of agitates for out. If things go awry this season, you can reevaluate at the trade deadline if you need to. But this team is good enough, as currently constructed, to win the whole damn thing, or at least come out of the East. You don't have to predict it, but let's acknowledge it, especially when you're looking at the larger landscape, specifically of the Eastern Conference right now. There's a ton of parity in the league. The Cavs are a part of that parity. They had a pretty bad playoff showing against the Knicks. There is value in learning from that, especially when you're looking at a guy like Darius Garland and Evan Mobley never getting those playoff reps before. You did some things to improve the roster here. The Cavs are going to be better. They seem more playoff proof, and they are absolutely capable of winning the whole damn thing. Or again, at least coming out of the East. So no, you do not trade Donovan Mitchell. That is way too premature, especially given how much you just surrendered to get him and just how early you are in this process. There was nothing last year you look at and say, wow, they really flopped with Donovan Mitchell. It's time to move on from him. I can't get there. If things go wrong, we can talk again at the trade deadline. More likely, I'm saying we need to see this through till next summer. You can recalibrate, reevaluate then. But right now, my stance is, and I think everyone's stance should be, you keep Donovan Mitchell because you are absolutely capable, if things break right, which is what every team basically needs to say, of winning the Eastern Conference. Until next time, and as always, please remember to subscribe, and shout out to the one, the only, the indelible, the player who could potentially put the Cavs or any other team over the top if they sign him, Frank Ntilikina.